Being intelligent is not measured solely by the number of books one has read, the diplomas they've earned, or even their high IQ test scores. True intelligence lies in knowing when to speak, and more importantly, when silence holds greater value, because words are not just sounds. A single word can build a world or destroy it. Words are a direct mirror of your thoughts, whether they reflect depth or shallowness. The philosophy of Stoicism reminds us of this truth in the clearest terms. Every sentence that leaves your mouth either elevates you or diminishes you by your own hand. Sometimes a single phrase can damage your credibility. Other times, it can transform you into a force you didn't even know existed within you. In this video, I will share 10 expressions that wise people never say. But these are more than just phrases. Behind them lie years of Stoic wisdom, inner strength, and the philosophy of true self-awareness. If you want to become the captain of your own mind, not someone controlled by the opinions of others, if you want to be seen as a deeper, more respected, and more balanced individual through your words, then this video is for you. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel, because this is more than just a video. It's a quiet yet powerful journey taken by wise minds. Let's walk this path together. So, let's begin with the first expression that wise people never use. It's not my fault. Sounds familiar, right? Whenever something goes wrong, a project fails, a goal isn't reached, or a problem arises, many people instinctively say, "It's not my fault." Maybe the problem really wasn't your doing. Maybe someone on the team didn't do their job. Maybe the weather was bad, or the resources you needed weren't delivered on time. Still, wise people don't rush to find excuses. They know that if you want to fix something, the first step is to take responsibility. Because accepting responsibility creates the possibility for change. If the responsibility lies with someone else, you lose your power to make a difference, and with that, your influence disappears too. A wise person thinks this way. Even if it's not my fault, it's my responsibility to handle this. What can I do to prevent it from happening again? This is not only a powerful mindset, it's also a habit that drives constant growth. Blaming others keeps you stuck, but saying, "Let me shift my perspective and find a solution," helps you evolve. If you often say things like, "This isn't my problem. There's nothing I can do. It wasn't me," you're missing the chance to grow. Wise people know that excuses are temporary, but outcomes are permanent. If you want results, stop focusing on who's right and start asking, "What can I do now?" People like this always think this way. The problem may have been caused by others, but it is my responsibility to act within it and find a solution. And it is exactly this mindset that makes someone wise, respected and trustworthy. Expression number 2, it won't change anyway. This sentence is a quiet surrender. It may sound calm on the outside, but deep within it holds despair, fear, and resignation. When someone says this, they're essentially sending a message like, "There's no point in trying. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your time." But wise people don't fall into this trap. They understand that most things labeled as unchangeable are simply things no one has seriously tried to change. Circumstances, relationships, habits, all of them can change. Sometimes slowly, sometimes painfully, but change is possible. However, there's one truth. Every change begins not from the outside, but from within. You must first change your thoughts. Instead of saying, "This is just how things are," ask yourself, does it really have to stay this way? Instead of saying, "It won't change anyway," ask, "What can I change?" That one shift in mindset can transform your entire life. Wise people know that this sentence is an excuse used by passive minds. Because if nothing can change, then they're no longer responsible to act. And that false comfort is incredibly dangerous. If you live with the belief that this relationship won't change, that person won't change, I can't change myself, then you've handed your power over to others. But a wise person says, nothing changes all at once. But if I take the first step, maybe the second step will reveal itself. Yes, big changes start with small decisions. And right now you can make such a decision. Nothing is truly unchangeable. If I begin, what I desire will eventually shift. What matters is that I take action and create impact. Expression number 3, I know everything. At first glance, this might sound confident, but behind it lies arrogance, a closed mind, and inner weakness. Because the moment someone says, I know everything, they stop learning. And that is where personal growth ends. Truly wise people understand. What remains to be learned in this world far exceeds what we already know. Every new piece of knowledge opens a new door. And behind each door are deeper questions, richer understandings. Socrates didn't say it for nothing. The only thing I know is that I know nothing. This isn't just the philosophy of a great thinker. It is the inner voice of every truly intelligent person. Because the more a wise person learns, the more they realize how much they have yet to learn. This is not a weakness, it is humility, and it keeps the door to learning wide open. In contrast, the person who says, I know everything, shuts themselves off. They stop asking questions. They refuse to accept they might be wrong. They resist criticism, and over time this makes them both weak and isolated. The people who grow the most in life are the ones who keep asking, why? How? Is there another way? A wise person thinks like this. If there's still something to learn each day, then I'm still at the beginning of the journey. And that's not a bad thing, and it's beautiful. That's why true strength isn't in claiming to know it all, but in having the courage to learn what you don't know. Expression number 4, that's not my job. This phrase is one of the most common excuses people use to avoid responsibility. But wise individuals don't think this way. They understand the value of taking initiative in any situation. Saying, that's not my job, is a way of retreating into a comfort zone and avoiding ownership. But this mindset robs you of growth, influence, and even respect. Because people always remember those who step forward in difficult moments, those who get close to the problem and help solve it. A wise person thinks this way. Maybe it's not directly my duty, but if there's a problem, I can still contribute to the solution. In doing so, they set themselves apart from those who just say, not my job. They become someone who is truly agile, responsible, and trustworthy. In fact, taking initiative opens new doors for you. You get to show yourself, build trust, and even gain new skills. Remember this, truly great successes are built by those who don't say, this isn't my job, and walk away. In Stoic philosophy, this idea is emphasized. Even if something is not your responsibility, if it aligns with your values, do it. That means even if a task isn't directly yours, if it involves justice, honesty, or hard work, core principles you believe in, you cannot ignore it. Staying silent or walking away is against your value system. This mindset leads you to be seen not just as a strong individual, but as a leader in your work and community. People begin to look up to you, trust you, and follow your example. Saying, this isn't my job, is easy. But truly wise and strong people ask, what can I do here? Whenever they face a problem. The fifth phrase wise people never use is, I was just joking. This is often used as a way to escape the responsibility of one's words. It's said in a casual tone, but deep down, it's an attempt to downplay the power and impact of speech. Wise people understand that words are not meaningless sounds. They are a part of our actions. Our words can touch people's hearts, influence thoughts and emotions, even change their world. That's why a wise person never speaks carelessly. They know every word has consequences. Some words inspire, others hurt. Some strengthen friendships, others destroy them. Some open doors, others shut them. Even when joking, the wise ask themselves, how will this affect my friend, colleague, or family member? How will my words impact their mood or view of me? Because they know that words are a responsibility. They carry weight not just as sounds from the mouth, but as intentions and respect from within. Saying I was just joking to dodge responsibility or hide behind words is not the way of a wise person. In fact, it makes it harder for others to trust you. They might think, if even they don't stand by their own words, why should I trust them? Our words reflect our identity, our trustworthiness, and our character. Every time they speak, wise people think, "My words are my signature. I must respect them." In life, nothing and no one is permanently fixed. Everything can change with time, including people. Wise people know this, so they never say, "That person will never change." This sixth phrase comes from the habit of labeling people as fixed and unchangeable. But wise people avoid such final and rigid judgments because they understand that no one is entirely beyond change. Every person carries a hidden potential. Sometimes this potential is invisible, sometimes it's buried. Sometimes the person simply isn't ready to tap into it. But the potential is still there. Wise people recognize this and avoid putting others into limiting boxes. They believe everyone has the capacity to grow and change. Maybe that person just hasn't unlocked their potential yet. Maybe they need guidance or the right opportunity. This mindset shows both compassion and hope, because it's easy to close the door on someone. But to open the door, that requires great courage and wisdom. Stoic philosophy embraces this balance. We should not insist on changing others, but we must never give up on offering hope and compassion. This is true strength and deep understanding, because a wise person understands that human nature is ever-changing and open to growth and evolution, saying, "That person will never change." And closing the door is also a way of depriving yourself of freedom. Why? Because this mindset distances you from real hope and from believing in the possibility of change. True wisdom means seeing potential in people, giving them a chance and staying open yourself on that journey. Another phrase wise people never use is, "I don't make mistakes." This expression is built on ego and pride. No one is without mistakes, and accepting that is a sign of intelligence and maturity. Wise people don't hide their mistakes, and they're not ashamed of them. On the contrary, they see mistakes as opportunities to grow and learn, because every mistake is one of life's most valuable lessons. Their mindset is, to err is human, but to repeat the same mistake is foolishness. Even Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "A wise man may make a mistake, but he does not repeat it." In other words, a wise person learns from mistakes, analyzes them, and transforms to avoid repeating the same errors in the future. This shows both humility and the true key to personal growth. But a person who says, "I don't make mistakes," is either deceiving themselves or afraid to admit their faults. This takes them further from the right path and weakens the trust others place in them. Remember, every mistake is a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more experienced. Accepting that truth is the mark of real intelligence and inner strength. This was the seventh phrase that wise people never use. Now comes the eighth phrase. Everyone does it. This is often used as an excuse to justify one's own actions or choices as acceptable or normal. But if everyone's walking toward a cliff, will you follow too? Wise people never blindly follow the crowd. They understand that the opinion of the majority is not always right. In fact, sometimes the path chosen by the majority is the most dangerous and the most wrong. They make decisions based on their principles, values, and conscience, because a wise person knows that the most important voice in life is not what others say, but what your inner voice, your conscience, is telling you. And this is exactly what Stoicism teaches. What matters is not what the crowd thinks, but what your conscience says. The opinions of others can only serve as guidance, but you must choose your own path, because the crowd may not always consider your growth or your true happiness. A wise person makes thoughtful decisions, thinks independently, and lives according to their own values. Sometimes being alone or different might actually be the best and wisest choice. Remember, justifying yourself by saying, "Everyone does it," is the easiest, but also the most dangerous path. The ninth phrase is often used by people with inflated egos. "That's just how I'm made." Wise people never use this phrase. It's usually an excuse to avoid self-improvement and growth. Thinking "I'm fixed, I won't change" is not the mindset of an intelligent person. Wise people know that personality and character are not fixed. They are shaped. developed and transformed over time. Our actions, habits, and reactions are in our hands. We can shape them. According to Stoic philosophy, a person is the architect of their own character. This means that wherever you want to go in life, however you want to grow, you choose that direction and work toward it. Saying, "This is just my nature, I can't change," is like putting yourself in a mental prison. Because everyone has the power within to change, grow, and evolve. And a wise person is not afraid of that power. They embrace it. They understand that it doesn't matter who they were in the past. What matters is who they want to become today and tomorrow. Remember, you are not just created, you are creating yourself. Every new day, every new decision brings new opportunities. This is the greatest form of freedom and strength. Finally, wise people act based on their own reason and judgment, not based on others. That's why they never say, "If they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have done this." This sentence is often used as a way to avoid taking responsibility for one's actions. It's easy to blame others. "He treated me like this, so I reacted that way." But this kind of thinking does not align with the worldview of a wise person. A wise person understands that their reactions and behavior are their own choices, not someone else's. Yes, someone else's words, actions, or attitude may affect you, but how you respond, how you behave, that is completely in your hands. This is a sign of inner strength and personal freedom. By staying true to your values, principles, and wisdom, you protect yourself from the negativity of others, and you don't become dependent on their behavior. Someone else's bad actions are never an excuse for you to choose the same wrong path, because you, and only you, are responsible for your own behavior. To make this idea even clearer, life is a chain of reactions, but a wise person has the power to break that chain. They know how to resist negative influence, remain calm, and protect their inner balance. As Stoic philosophy emphasizes, true strength lies not in what others do, but in how you choose to respond. As you learn to control your reactions, the influence of others over your life weakens, and your control over your own life increases. Remember, giving up your principles because of someone else's behavior only weakens you. But your reaction, that is your freedom and your power. Yes, wise people don't just use their intelligence for reading books. They also choose and manage their words carefully. Because words are not just words. They can build friendships or spark conflicts and create division. A person reveals themselves through their speech. The way someone speaks is one of the clearest reflections of who they are. Well thought out words make you more respected and powerful, while careless words can make you seem weak and unreliable. If you realize that you sometimes use some of the phrases mentioned in this video, don't worry. That's not a sign of foolishness. It's an opportunity to grow and improve yourself. Everyone makes mistakes, but a wise person recognizes their mistake, works on it, and becomes more mindful. They learn to understand the power of words and how to use them at the right time, in the right way. Being wise isn't just about having knowledge, it's also about managing your speech and your behavior. This is a long and continuous journey, but every step makes you a wiser, stronger person. Thank you for watching this far. If you also want to strengthen the power of your words and build better connections with people, subscribe to my channel and let's walk this path together.